Now we will go ahead and start recording the script using the VueGen component. There are two options with which you can do the recording. One is using the HTML based option, the other one is the URL based option. First, we will look at the difference between those two, and then we will go ahead and record using both those options. As you can see here, an HTML based script, it is very small and concise, and this is what a lot of LoadRunner specialists would like to. On the other hand, the URL based script, it is very big and very hard to understand and very hard to maintain as well. For HTML based script, preferable when you are interested in measuring the entire page load. So you have a web page and you wanted to look at the response times for the entire page, this is what is preferable. But you know that from this page, there are various components which are there in this page, and you wanted to see the component level response time, then basically you can go with the URL based option. Now I will demonstrate for you how to create or record a script using HTML based script, and how does the eventual script looks like, and how to create a script using the URL based option, and eventually how the script looks like. Now we will go ahead and do some recording. We will use the same script that I've created earlier, which is my first script 1, and we will record into an action called action. Before we record, we are discussing here the difference between HTML based script and URL based script. So I will name this action appropriately. First, I will record the HTML based script. So I will name this action as HTML based script. Later on, I'll be creating a script for URL based script. At that point of time, I'll create one more action with the name URL based script, and then I'll do the recording in that action. But first, let's start our recording for HTML based script. So select this HTML based script, click on record, and we have already seen the recording options. So click on the recording options, go to the recording and select HTML based script here. Now that you have selected the HTML based script, we will go ahead and start recording. Before we start recording, let's look at some of the options that you could see on this particular window here. Well, I want to record in an action called HTML based script, but you can, if you have changed your mind, you can select the other actions as well from this list. It's a web browser, and I'll be using the Google Chrome for my recording. So this is the path of Google Chrome, as you can see here. So if you want, you can select the Internet Explorer as well. And this is my application under test. If you're not sure about this one, you can always go to Start, All Programs, HP Software, LoadRunner, Samples, Web, and then HP Web Tools application. Then it will pull out that particular application. You can copy the list, you can copy the URL from here and then paste it over here. Since it's already here, I'm not pasting it, and I want to start the recording immediately. Go ahead and click on the Start Recording button, and bang on. Now the recording has started. So the window that you see over here, this is related to the VueGen part, and you see it is recording. It is saying that it is recording. Earlier, when we've used the protocol advisor, it has shown you that it was analyzing, but now it is recording. It has already recorded 52 events. And as I go further, I'll discuss about all these options over here. So you see here, we are recording in the action called HTML based script. At this point of time, you wanted to change the action in which you want to record. You can click on this one and you change the action so that the further recording will be done in the next action. Now I'll go ahead and log in, but before I log in, I will add some comments that I'm creating or I'm recording the scripts for login. How do I do that? by using this button over here, which is Insert Comment. Click on Insert Comment and then enter the comment that you are logging in, or simply log in. Click on OK. Now you can log in using Jojo and Bean. We have already discussed about the default username password. Now it has logged in. And then I want to initiate the next transaction, which is sign off. But before that, again I will put the comments. Sign off. Click on OK. Now the comments has been inserted into the script, and these comments are for the performance tester. I'll show you how important these comments are, how the comments will help you once the recording stops and the script is generated. Now I'll go ahead and initiate this transaction called sign off by clicking on this button called sign off. Now the sign off related piece of code has been captured or recorded by the VUGen. Now I will stop the script, or I will stop the recording. The VUGen will take certain amount of time to create this script. I will talk about this Design Studio later, at the later point of time when we are discussing about the correlation. Now all my script has been recorded into the action called HTML based script. So this is the piece of code that is generated. As you can see, these are the comments that I have inserted. So whatever the script that comes after these comments, this piece of code is for the login. And obviously, if you pay a little more attention, the username that you have used is Jojo, and the password, it is been encrypted, and that is Bean. And you see these comments that we have inserted, sign off, which means that this piece of code is for the sign off. Now you know how important these comments are. Let me change the layout so that I will have a better look at the script. Now it is the default layout. Change this to plain layout so that you will be able to look only the scripts, nothing else. So obviously this piece of code is for the launch, and you have the login comments here, so which means that this piece of code or this web request is for the login part, and this web request is for the sign off. So comments are extremely important. It will tell you which piece of code belongs to what. Now as a performance tester, you need not have to understand each and every line, but you do need to understand that this is the web request and all this piece of code will be executed at once. Same thing with this one as well. The whole piece of code for the login will be executed at once, and if this is executed, which means that it is sending the request for login. And this whole thing will be executed at once, and once this request has been sent, then it will be sign off. A request for sign off will be sent. So whenever you see something called last, which means that this whole request has lasted over here, and this whole thing will be sent at once to the server. So we'll go ahead and replay back the script. However, we'll not be able to see much because we haven't inserted the transactions yet. We'll be inserting the transactions in the next video. But however, since the script has recorded, we'll go ahead and replay back. But before we replay back, we would do something called correlation by using something called Design Studio. Just click on Design Studio, and this is the value that needs to be correlated. So the status is new, just go ahead and correlate. But why we need to correlate? What is this correlation? What will happen the correlation is not done? We'll discuss in detail in the chapter called correlation. But right now, just understand that if the correlation is not done, the script will fail. For my script to pass, I'm correlating now. So select this value that needs to be correlated. Just go ahead and hit on correlate. Before I hit on correlate, just observe that the status is new. Click on correlate. Now the status is applied. Now I'll go ahead and replay the script. For replaying the script, there are a couple of ways we can do it. Click on the replay button over here, or replay and then run. Whichever option you want to go with, you can do that. Just click on run. Now the script will be executed for you. Here you go. The script has been executed and now it is processing the results. There you go. My first script has passed. What is this output log? We will have a quick look at that now. So when your script is recorded, the log related to the script, you can see that over here in the output replay log. Make sure this is an output window or output pane. In that there are multiple logs. You look at the replay log and you will be able to see the replay log for this script. In the replay log, what I would want you to look at is for any red color marks or for any errors or any failures. Now that there are no failures, which means that the log is clean and the script has passed. There you go. Bingo. You have created your first script, which is using the option called HTML based script, and you have also played back. Now we will go ahead and create another script into the new action, but this time around we record the same things or the same steps, which is launch, login, sign off, but using the option called URL based script. So I want to create an action for that. How do I do it? Click on actions, right click on actions, create new action. I will name this action appropriately. I will say URL based script. Click on OK. Make sure the URL based script action has been added into these actions. I'll go ahead and record it. Record the same steps that you have recorded earlier, which is launch, login, logout, so that I will be able to compare these two scripts, which is HTML based script to URL based script. So in the URL based script, I'll click on record and you see record into the action called URL based script, and then web browser, I'll be using the Chrome, and this is my application under test. We have discussed about these options earlier, but what I would be interested is the recording options. Click on recording options, and this time around, in general, in recording, select URL based script. Earlier it was HTML based script. Now it is URL based script. Click on OK and then start recording. There's one major thing that I would want to look at here is how the script will be created for the same transactions or for the same steps for the URL based. Now again, I will add the comments. We have already seen the importance of comments earlier. This is for the login. So I have added a comment called login. Click on OK. Go ahead and log in. Jojo, Bean. I've logged in. Now I will sign off. But before I sign off, again, I will add the comments called sign off. And then go ahead and click on sign off. And finally, stop the recording. Again, the same correlation window appears. So you have to correlate again this value over here, which is new, and this is the value that needs to be correlated. Click on that, which is new, and click on correlate and make sure it is applied. As I've told you before, we discuss about this correlation in detail in my subsequent videos. So to have a better look at the script, what I would do is I'll go to the plain layout and then look at this URL based script. So look at the script here. So this whole piece of code or this all web request is for the launch. How do I know it? Because I've put a comment called login over here. So whatever comes before that, that is for the launch. So earlier we have only one request for the launch, but now there are close to 5 requests for the launch. For log off, there was only one request in the HTML based script, but here you have 3 requests. I'll zoom out a little bit so that you can have a better look. For the login, you see there are 3 requests. Earlier it was only 1 request which was recorded. And for finally sign off, there are 3 requests which are web requests which is recorded now. Earlier there were only 1 request. So the point which I'm trying to make here is with URL based script, the script generated or created by the Vugen will be huge. So very rarely the performance testers use this option. Well, which is the right one? HTML based script, the generated script is small. URL based script, the generated script is large. But both of them are correct, even though they appear different to you, but what they send to the server, the request that they send to the server will be absolutely same. So whether you are using the HTML based script or URL based script, the kind of response times that you capture using any of these options will be absolutely same. So depending on the options, you can go ahead and select whichever you want. But the response times captured will be absolutely similar. So I can go ahead and replay back this one, but since we have already replayed back HTML script, I don't think there is a need for me to replay back the URL based script. So, but still, if you want me to, let's go ahead and replay back this particular script. But before I do that, let me change the layout to the default layout, and I want it to replay back only the URL based script. So for that, I need to make some changes. I have to go to something called runtime settings. I'll discuss about these runtime settings in detail in a chapter called runtime settings, but right now I will use the options which is required for me for now. I want it to run only the URL based script, not the HTML based script. So for that, I'll double click on the runtime settings so that I'll go to the runtime settings. In that, in general, in run logic, I'll go to something called run. Here, what this means is it will run first HTML based script, then it will run the URL based script. I don't want to run the HTML based script. I want to run only the URL based script. So I will select the HTML based script and I'll remove it from here. So I'm removing that particular action only in my runtime settings, not from the script. So whatever is there in my runtime settings in run logic, only that action will be executed. Now only URL based script will be executed, not the HTML based script. This particular star over here says that your script is not saved after you made the changes. So I'll go ahead and save it. Now I'll go ahead and run it. As I've told you, there are 2 ways that you can run it, using this run button over here or this button over here. I'm running it right now for the URL based script. Bang on, it has executed. As you can see the yellow mark over here, this is what it is. Now it is processing my execution. There you go. My first script has been executed and it's successfully executed. And you can look at the output replay log. Look for that red color letters. Since you don't see any errors, failures, anything red, it's all good. So that's the difference between HTML based script and URL based script.